Hola! Welcome to the Empire 161 show. It's a Sunday. We're back. Thankfully, it's been like a month since we've been off. We apologize about that. But as you can see, we're really excited. And I have a special guest host with us who is pinch hitting for my regular co-host, Tim. We have Lyssa Garcia. Lyssa, what is up? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Ed. I'm very excited to be here. A little bit nervous because I want to make sure that I represent for the ladies well, but it feels like a real honor and a privilege to be able to discuss the Yankees with you. I know through our friendship how much they mean to you. You know how much they mean to me. So it's just really cool to share this with everybody else who's watching. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Be kind to me. It's my first time ever guest hosting on a podcast. And let's have some fun tonight. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Nice. Well, we'll be good. Lyssa is also a huge Yankees fan as well as Tim and Jerry before her. But she's jumping in these shoes and she's ready to go. Thanks for joining us wherever it is that you may be joining us, whether it's on the Facebook feed, through our Empire 161 Facebook group or our page. If you're joining us through Pop Culture Pros on their page or on the group as well, not they, because we are part of the Pop Culture Pros family. Thank you for that. It's on YouTube, or if it's on the audio only version, which is on Spotify or Apple iTunes or wherever the heck you get your podcasts. Thanks for that. Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. We're all over the place, and we're super pumped up that you're with us. And let's get to it. And we actually got a comment on here. My guess, I didn't look at it yet, but I'm guessing it's Farachi. So yes, of course it is. This is our boss, the Vince McMahon, the Hal Steinbrenner, the everything of all Pop Culture Pros. Steve Farachi. He's a host of the Put It in the Book show, which is our sister show, our Met show. Yo, Lyssa, what's up? And thanks for pinch hitting. So there you go. The comments are flowing in for Lyssa. I'm sure that's how this is going to be going tonight. That's awesome.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. So. All right, so let's get to it. So, if this is the first time you're checking out Empire 161, we usually kick it off with TWIB. Now, if you're around my age, Lyssa's age, and that, we used to have a show called This Week in Baseball. So this is where we kind of chat about some stuff that are random things that are Yankee-ish related, or perhaps not. But that's where we're gonna jump on it. So the big story in baseball lately has been the sticky stuff, the quote unquote. I know that just sounds weird saying that. I didn't want to say it like that, but just whatever. That's it. It's here. We're rolling with it. It's foreign substances that pitchers have been using to get a better grip on the baseball, because baseball goes ahead and rubs what's called Mississippi mud on the ball to get the shine off it and to make it a little bit more grip. If you grabbed a brand new, I know Lyssa's grabbed like a brand new softball or a baseball, it's pretty slick when it starts, and then you kind of got to work it in, and then all of a sudden, you can actually get a grip on a bit. In the beginning, it's like grabbing like an ice cube. It's nuts. So pitchers over time have used various items to get a better grip, and then maybe too much grip, because then they're going ahead and getting an extra drop on their breaking balls and things like that. In the movie Major League, which we've talked about on this show before, there's a whole scene where sorry, the pitcher's name is escaping me, but the older guy's talking about putting snot on the ball and Vagisil and Crisco and jalapenos up his nose. So that's been a joke that's there. If you've seen The Naked Gun, there's a great scene towards the end where Frank Drebin is the umpire and he's checking the guy who has a saw in his hat and everything. He's scuffing the ball and God knows what. So those are the things that popped into mind when I heard Major League Baseball was doing this. So questions of why Major League Baseball is doing this is simply because offense has gone in the toilet this year. We can get into a whole nother various reasons of why that is, but offense has gone in the toilet, and fans want to see some offense. They just want to see 1-0 games and guys striking out all day and everything like that. So they decided, let's just crack down on this, and a move that is in the middle of the season, which I think is part of the problem on this. Mm-hmm. So as of this past Monday, they started cracking down on it and saying, hey, if you get caught, it's a 10-game, you're ejected from the game, and it's a 10-game suspension right off the bat. So we've seen some really interesting situations over here with such pictures as Max Scherzer, who was pretty pissed off at the umps about that.
Not just at the umps, he was pissed off at George Girardi too.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a great point. In the Nationals Phillies game, and this was on Monday or Tuesday, if I recall. Actually, it was Tuesday. So he goes ahead and he asks for, hey, you should check this guy out like 3 different times. Now, you can question whether Girardi was in the right on this or not, or he was kind of making a mockery of it. A lot of people felt like he was making, an embarrassment of the game right there. Scherzer's getting pissed. He's like emphatically like picking up his shirt and doing God knows what. I mean, Sergio Romo really took it to another level and dropped his
Yes,
pants.
he did. Yes, when I saw that highlight, I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on right now?"
He's just like right out there, like
yes.
Boom.
I'm sure he got a lot of feedback from his family when he got home that day.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure. I mean, thankfully he didn't go any further than that because there's children in the stands, Sergio. Absolutely. Like, what are you doing there?
We did have our first pitcher that was ejected, though. This was hot off the presses as we were getting ready to come on the air tonight. So Hector Santiago of the Mariners.
Yeah, he got caught earlier today. They actually tossed him out of the game. He's claiming, oh, it was just rosin and I had it in my glove and this and that. And they're like, well, we don't know what it is. And they ejected him for it. So I guess, Lyssa, you've seen how this has gone throughout the week, and it seems like they're checking starting pitchers as they're coming off the mound and going into the dugout. Relievers are getting sometimes checked before they hit the mound and after they hit the mound. What is your opinion? Like, what do you think of like how Major League Baseball? Let's focus on how they're checking them. Do you feel like this is the right way to do it? You feel like maybe there's a better way to do this? What's your opinion on this?
Well, I think one of the things that surprised me when I first started seeing it in the Yankee games was I noticed that they were also checking some of the catchers as well, I guess, to see if there was anything on their catcher's mitt as well. So I thought that was interesting that they were also checking them. And as I was reading up on it, as it was becoming a bigger thing, I saw that there were a lot of players in the Players Association who are advocating for, okay, look, we don't mind if you check, but don't do it on the field. Don't let all the people in the stands see it. Make sure, check it in the dugout, check it in the clubhouse, check it in the bullpen, and we'll be fine with that. I understand that Major League Baseball feels like this might be a little bit of an issue. I know that, during the Yankee games, when they're talking about pitcher spin rotations and how that has changed a lot ever since they said they were going to start doing this, how that's affected play for the pitchers. I think one of the things I like is that Major League Baseball is trying new things to, like keep the game fresh and honest and interesting for the fans. So I appreciate them looking out for, how the fans are experiencing games. But I think there are ways that you could do it where it's not in our faces as the fans as well, because it does look weird. A pitcher who that inning had a horrible inning, right? So like 4 or 5 runs score. And then at the end of the inning, he's walking back in the dugout. He's pissed. He, wants to get his mind right for the next inning. And then he has to stop and give his glove in, take his hat off. And they're checking him. That probably ruins kind of like what the pitchers are psyching themselves up to do for the next inning to prepare them. So it ruins concentration. I can understand why pitchers aren't happy about it.
Yeah, and I just feel like I agree with you. It's a good thing that they're approaching this. I personally think this is something maybe you should have done before the season, or perhaps done after the season, or maybe like during the All-Star break and stuff like that. I mean, as the overall concept of it. But I feel like they kind of just waited for offense to go in the toilet, and they're like, oh, shit, we got to do something quick, and we're going to do this. I mean, it's been a known thing for a long time that pitchers have used, foreign substances to get a better grip on the ball. From a Yankees perspective, we know that from Michael Pineda, a couple of years ago when he had the whole glob of pine tar on his neck, and that looked ridiculous. But he was using it in cold weather, and he was like, hey, listen, in cold weather, the ball's a little bit too slick. That's what I was going for. I think that pitchers should be allowed to use something more than rosin, because I think the issue now, too, is they're banning sunscreen, because some people were using sunscreen and rosin as a mixture to get that. Now, if you're just either one of us, if we're going to go play softball and stuff like that, we're putting on sunscreen at times and stuff like that. I mean, it's just naturally you're going to do that. So now you're trying to tell players you can't use sunscreen either. Just go out there, roast. That's it. It's over. It doesn't matter.
Get burnt.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Not a big deal. Like, as long as the pitcher doesn't have an advantage, that's all that matters. So screw that. there's also some hitters that have spoken out about this, like Pete Alonso, kind of the Mets. He took it to another level where it was almost like a conspiracy theory in a way, like, hey, there's a lot of offensive players that are hitting the free agency soon, and then we're going to go ahead and, we're going to go and make sure that the numbers are down so they don't get paid, which I thought that was a little bit – I'm sorry, the pitchers were coming up. There's a lot of pitchers hitting free agency, so I was like, all right, we're going to go ahead and knock that. I thought that was a bit extreme. But I do see his point, though. Plus, there are also hitters as well who want, like, the pitchers to – they don't want to get drilled with a fastball in the head or something like that. Like, right. Hey, listen, I want my safety. I want to be able to get in there. I don't mind the guy having something. But when you start taking it to levels of what they're – everyone knows what spider tech is, and stuff like that. Spider tech is an item that they've used for, like – it was invented for weightlifters. When they go ahead and they do the big lift and they don't want to drop it and hurt themselves, pitchers started using that. They even had, I think it was the Oakland A's and maybe two other teams were found out. They had large shipments of this spider tack shipped to their stadiums, to their facilities. I mean, so it's pretty known that everyone was using this crap. And then suddenly, they were like, oh, it's enough. Offensive's down. Fans are complaining. So I agree with you, though. From looking at it from one perspective, if baseball is concerned about the way the game is being presented, they want the fans to enjoy it, that's fine. I just feel like it's another clunky way that they've done it. Though, like, the intent might be correct, just the way the execution is where I have an issue with it. We got someone chiming in on this. A good buddy of both of ours, Steve Grogan. I think in between innings, all pitchers should go through airport security scanners and take their shoes off. It's the only way. And then right after that, they will have rubber gloves, and they will get really inspected to make sure there's nothing on their person whatsoever. Thank you, Grogan, for the comment. Thanks for checking us out, man. I'm sure we're going to be having a fun time with some of these comments. They're going to be rolling in through the show, because Grogan's always a nice addition that drops in here. So, so we'll see where this goes. But they've also said that since the warnings were thrown out to the league that, hey, it's coming, we're going to be checking soon, batting averages across the league have jumped up 10 points, like cumulative all over. So you can see that obviously the effect is in there. We'll get into what some of the effect it's had on our own, within our own house in the Yankees, mainly Garrett Cole. But it is what it is. I can see it as being a huge advantage when you got sliders that are usually in the 80s and breaking like that. Now they're in the high 90s and still breaking like that. That is highly unusual. So I think there was obviously something going on, but I just feel like they could have executed better. Hopefully, this is something that they can figure out or talk to the players' union, and I know the owners and the players' union actually agreeing on something and sitting down and talking is a lot, but they need to. This is something they really do need to get down and have a meeting and discuss. Hey, let's do this in a better way, because it just looks like having pitchers getting strip searched on the field in between innings randomly is just very strange.
Very strange. And it feels like, I don't know, like such a violation.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure fans, are kind of like, wait, what's going on? And how do you explain that to a little kid? Like, Dad, why did they keep stopping the pitcher? And why did he pull his pants down? That was Sergio Romo was just special. Yeah, that was extra. That was extra. I haven't seen anything else quite like that yet, thankfully. But yeah, you don't want to sit there with your kid and like, hey, so, the pitchers were cheating at one point. So, they had to go ahead and now they're strip searching them to make sure they don't have any illegal substances on them. But enjoy the game. Let's go ahead and let's go Yankees. Like, come on. It's a little bit goofy. So another subject we wanted to talk about briefly and hit on something that was released this week is this. Oof. This is the 2021 MLB All-Star Game jerseys that came out and the caps to go with it. This is an example of the Yankees cap, which is something we can check it out here. And then we also have that's the Colorado Rockies, so that'll be the NL. The NL is the home team, so they'll be in white. And then, the American League will be, and I think their base jersey is blue. Yes. And it just has the names. Hat. Yeah, navy blue, right? Navy blue jerseys for American League, white for National, and then the hats are all navy with the purple mountains in the background. Yeah, so it's bizarre. And we know the Yankees colors are that, but we know for the All-Star Game it's going to get jumbled around. So, Lyssa, give us your opinion on let's start with the jerseys. We'll get to the caps in a second.
Hit us with it. What do you think?
It is not a jersey I will be purchasing. I saw it the other day and I just didn't understand it. What I think is peculiar, and I kind of wish the American League jersey was up too, is that the American League jersey on the sleeve, that extra piping, is a different color of fatigue. It's not even the same color as the National League one. So I don't know. I don't know who. I mean, it's got the Nike check mark on it, but it was just a crazy design, in my opinion. I've heard a lot of feedback about it. I don't think it's anything to write home about. I've seen the jerseys on sale for like $300, which is just bonkers to me.
Mhm.
Definitely wouldn't pay that much money for this. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see at the game. I can't imagine seeing it on a player is going to make me change my mind, though. Not a fan. How about you, Ed?
Not even Giancarlo Stanton?
I mean, Giancarlo Stanton can make any uniform look amazing, but that's not what I'm looking at when I'm looking at that.
Well, I'll say that maybe it would be nice to see Stanton in the All-Star jersey because that means he made the All-Star game.
This is true.
But we'll take it like that. But yes, the overall thing, the jerseys are disgusting. I mean, these are ridiculous. I think you need to just and again, this is Major League Baseball toying around with something. I'll also throw Nike in there because Nike, this is their second year doing the uniforms, which I am a huge Nike advocate. I mean, there's a swoosh on my shirt right over here, and I'm big into them. But this is just trying to reinvent the wheel too much. You should just keep it as it was. For the home run derby, you have the different jerseys and stuff for that. Home run derby is fine. For the actual game itself, nationally, since they're the home team, everyone just wear their home white uniforms, and I kind of like it. I think it's kind of cool to see different teams just wearing all the same white jersey. You know what I mean? Like their own home jerseys, which is fine. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of always dug that caps could be different. And I think you should have just kept it like that. For the All-Star, for the home run derby, do whatever you want. I own a 2017 Judge, when he won the home run derby. I own that All-Star game. Of course, it was in Miami that year, and the colors are all over the place. I don't care. He won it, so I rock it. I don't give a crap. Whatever. I think I have a Jeter from 2008, but those were Yankee colors, so It looks like a Yankees jersey. Pretty much, it just says American League on it. For the cap, I'm going to be honest. I don't mind the cap. The cap is fine, I guess. Is it what my preference would be? No. If it's on sale and I need one to play softball in, maybe, because I'll do that. But no, not one I'm going to be seeking out to be like, oh my God, this one's so cool, I need to get at. Because I do have a few All-Star Game hats, but this one, I don't know. Maybe it'll grow on me or something like that. The cap is not as bad as the jersey. The jersey is completely hideous. That is terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not a hat I would wear. I like to match, and the Yankee one that you're showing is like screaming. It doesn't match at all with the NY in. I don't know if that's orange or red, but the Purple Mountains in the background, not my thing. And I'm also, you and I were talking about this the other day. I feel like the things that they're putting on the sides of the hats now are getting bigger and bigger. Yes. And this ASG logo with the MLB logo, I just think it's way too huge on the side. I'm old school in that, like, I just want my team right here, and that's all. Maybe because I have to represent a little Puerto Rican flag on the side, but like a small one. And I have a hat from when my university hosted an alumni game at Yankee Stadium. It has my mascot very small on the side as well. Nice. Those are probably the only two patches I want on my hat other than the team's logo, but this is a little too busy for me. It's not, you're right, it's not as horrible as the shirts, but not a hat you'll see me wearing.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying exactly. I'm not jumping on Fanatics and ordering this damn thing like when the show's over or anything like that. But it's, again, the purple and red part too. I'm like, what am I doing with this? Like, what is going on here? I mean, now I'll admit, if I was going to the All-Star game, if I was going to the home run derby, then it's kind of like you forgive it and you're like, screw it. This is my piece of memorabilia that from my experience of going there. But that's not happening, so not really going to be kicking down the door to go do that. Rogan is commenting on the hat, so let's check out what we got here for this.
It does.
The hat looks like a superhero symbol right down to the ascot on the side, like Thor's softball team. Thor's softball team probably hit some bombs, I'll tell you that much. I mean, For Asgard, boom, and it just like Jack went out of there. Yeah, no, it's actually a pretty good point. I mean, it could be for Asgard. Maybe that's where they should have the All-Star game. I would like to see it. Well, wait, damn it, Asgard doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, too soon, maybe too soon. To go have the All-Star game there.
Spoiler alert, by the way, people. If anybody has not seen that, spoiler alert.
Yes, if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok or Avengers Infinity War, sorry about that. But if you did see it and you like shit, you should check out Granny's Peach Tea on another show there that you'd probably dig. But I'm not going to sit there and keep plugging Granny's because Granny's is just a totally different thing from what's going on here. All right, so that is pretty much what we got for this week in baseball. Oh, actually, there was something that popped up earlier today. Speaking of the All-Star Game festivities, let's get this off the damn screen. Trey Mancini of the Orioles was invited to play to participate in the home run derby, which he also has had a long road comeback from I think it was testicular cancer if I remember correctly. So he's had it rough, and it's cool to see him make a full recovery and get back into Major League Baseball. So I thought that was really cool. So I think the only ones that are officially announced have been him and Shohei Ohtani, who
absolutely deserves it.
Oh, absolutely. The dude is doing ridiculous things that none of us have ever seen in our lifetime.
No.
So that's well deserved. I'm curious to see that. And I think, we're going to do probably our home run derby pool like we do every season. So, Lyssa, you're going to be getting a text about that to say, hey, you want to get in the home run derby pool? Grogan, you're watching. Home run derby pool.
He's definitely going to be.
He may have already Venmo'd me the few bucks already to go ahead and do that. No, I love the home run derby, man. Whatever, I don't care. I've been fortunate to go to 2 of them. They were pretty exciting live, but every year I love watching that crap, man.
Absolutely.
Seeing sluggers bash the ball into ridiculous lengths, man. It's awesome. It's just whatever.
It's also fun to play it on MLB The Show.
Yes. Oh man, I miss playing the show, man. Me and Jerry used to have epic wars of best of 7 series, and it'd be like a chess match, and people would get pissed off and leave, and they didn't want to watch us play anymore because it took too long because we were just really going at it. It was nuts. Grogan's in. Okay. Yes, Grogan's in for the home run derby pool. Officially. Right. We have the receipts. You're going to be there. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Yanks week in review. We're going to be focusing on – we're not going to be able to cover all the games that have happened since our last show because that would be pretty ridiculous, and that's something I don't think any of us want to do. So let's go touch on the games. Let's rewind it back to last Tuesday when the Yankees and the Royals faced off at the stadium. Garrett Cole's last start prior to today. Yanks dropped a tough one, 6-5. As you can see across the bottom line, if you listen to the audio-only version, I will read it for you. It's okay. But Weisiger took the loss. He's 7-3. DJ was 2 for 4 with his 6th home run of the season, 2 RBIs. That was Luke Voigt's first game back off the IL. He hit a bomb to left field in the first pitch that he saw right at the gates. I mean, that was nice to see. I mean, that thing just really got out of there. And he had his first triple of the season. Maybe his last triple of the season. Who the heck knows? But the big story in this game with the Yanks going 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position, when you do that, it's kind of tough to go ahead and do that. Granted, they lost by only 1 run, 6-5. So I think the big point, the turning point in this game, Lyssa, I think was in the 8th inning. Yanks would go ahead and they were down by 1. And to start off the inning, they were up by 1 at this point. And then Wade goes ahead and makes a nice jump throw to first. DJ LeMahieu had been moved over to first from second base at this point, and Wade came in for speed and defensive purposes, but then goes ahead and makes an errant throw to first base. A more experienced first baseman, maybe not Luke Voigt, because I always see him as a DH with a glove, and he's not going to be mistaken for Don Mattingly or Mark Teixeira or Tino Martinez in the near future. He doesn't make a pick that's there, so that allows that run to go ahead, and then to allow the tying runs across the plate. Wade goes ahead and gets a ball. He double pumps, and so you can tell he goes ahead. He looks at first. He double pumps to home, and then the run scores. Allow him to run to score. And that's a situation you need to get that ball and then make your decision immediately. Like, hey, I'm going home. I'm going to cut off the run at home, out, and that's it. But then again, you go ahead. You don't take the out at first base. You double pump. You go home. Run scores. Now you've kept the running going. The rally keeps going. You're not getting any outs, and then that goes on. So that's a defensive line that will never show up in the box score because it's not scored an error or anything like that. But as we know, that's a huge mistake that was let in right there. You could have got out of that inning at least with the game tied and to see what happens. But Yanks go ahead. They end up being down by one, and they never recovered and are from there.
Yeah. And I do think that's like a defensive woe that they've been experiencing a lot this year is just like making what you and I know are to be like they're not making the basic plays, right? So like you said, when Wade got that ball, he should have known before. He should have known if the ball's hit to me, I'm going home. You know, if the ball's hit to me, I'm going here. And then one of the other things that I'm sure we'll get to in the rest of the games this week too is where they're throwing the balls, where they're throwing it in front of the runner instead of behind them. You know, like all of these little mental errors that they're making that are causing major mistakes and putting them in the hole in games. And it's easily avoidable things that you don't think will happen with a major league team. So I think that was really just, you know, a few mental errors that cost us a lot in that game and in a couple of other games this week. And like you mentioned in the bottom line here, that we were terrible with runners in scoring position. The one last thing I want to say about that game, because it's something that came up in the commentary. I don't know if you caught this or not, but when they were talking, I don't remember who it was, Michael Kay or David Cohen or Paul O'Neill, but one of them said Salvador Perez of the Royals wears women's perfume for every game. That's his superstition. They didn't say why, they just said that it is. So I think in an episode, if you haven't already, we should maybe talk about superstitions too, because I know there's a few, you know, in the history of baseball. One that comes to mind is Wade Boggs eating chicken all the time.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That was the first one that popped in my head.
But I would also, I think it would be fun to share with listeners if anybody on this show has superstitions at one point. So just throwing that out there as an agenda item for the future.
I like it. I mean, mine have simply gone to who it mainly sits around who's sitting where when we're watching a game. And that's where it is. That's it. If you moved and some shit gets out of hand, that's it. Back to where you were sitting before. Or if you come in the room and shit hits the fan, get the hell out of here. Makes me think of a Bronx Tale. Where it's mush and put him in the bathroom. Put him in the bathroom.
I can 100% co-sign that you've done that to people when we've been together watching games.
but we know what's funny though, and I always go back to this, is that we play softball together, and in softball, zero. I don't care about any of it. Like none of it means anything. I think as fans, that's our way to like feel like we have control of the game. When in our hearts, we really know we have no control of what the hell's going on, but we want to feel something. So we latch on to whatever the heck we can and pray it works. There was a whole thing when I used to walk Bernie, and every single time that would happen, the opposing team, no matter what team I was watching or what sport I was watching, the other team would score no matter what. I shit you not, I walked around the block. Penguins scored 5 goals against the Rangers. 5 goals in a matter of one walk around the block. And I just let her in, and I just stared at Angie. And I'm like, you couldn't walk her. You see this. You know this. You are responsible for this. Get out of here.
It's crazy how we associate things with like it's because of this. So
it's insane though. It's we know it's insane, but whatever. Again, I think this is us trying to relax ourselves to think we have any kind of control over it. I've seen it. Grogan has spent times in the bathroom as superstitions for various games. There was when the Giants won the Super Bowl, he was going ahead and wearing the same sweatshirt that he got from, I don't even know how he got a Giant sweatshirt, but he had to wear that sweatshirt every single time that was there. So, before we move on to the next game, another thing that was interesting that I found there, courtesy of Katie Sharp on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you should follow her. If you're into baseball, specifically the Yankees, her stats are completely out of control. Love it every single time. Yanks have scored 8 runs on wild pitches or pass balls, and that is tied for third in most in MLB this season. So, yeah, because they did score. One of the runs that they scored was on another wild pitch, and a lot of times we've seen with the bases loaded, with the Yanks not hitting with runners in scoring position, they'll score in a wild pitch or like a pass ball or something like that, and it's very frustrating to see if sometimes that's what they're relying on for their offense.
That or a walk. It seems like they've been walking in a few runs as well, and it's like That's not what we're used to for the Yankees.
No, they're the Bronx Bombers. We're expecting moonshots all over the place, and a line to line all over the place. But hey, listen, I don't mind walks, but you got to get some hits in there too, man. Enough
Absolutely.
and wild pitch, all right, here and there, that's fine, but that should be the only offense that you generate, especially with the bases loaded. But that brings us to the next night, because the next two games are going to be a little bit more fun to talk about. Yanks 6-5 walk-off. So they returned the 6-5 favor the following night when Michael King had started this game. Chapman got the win. Voit hit a walk-off single in the ninth inning. Earlier, though, Rougned Odor, who does not have many hits on the season, but it seems like the hits he gets are always big.
Yes.
There always seems to be clutch, so maybe he saves them for that time. It was a lefty-lefty matchup, and he had a two-run homer, which was a nice shot to right center field. That was super exciting to see there. And then in the ninth inning, everyone's former favorite catcher, and yes, some people are starting to eat crow these days, Gary Sanchez hit his 12th homer of the season to tie the game in the ninth inning. But then in the later on in that inning, Giancarlo Stanton took a single the right way, got over the first baseman's head, so showing the fact that he'll take the single and go the other way. Boone put in Wade to pinch run for Stanton, who went ahead and on a pass ball got to second base. And then Voit knocked him in, which I actually had. I was at the game with Jasmine, and I jumped out of my seat because Voit even pointed his finger up because it did look like it was going over. And it hit off the top of the wall, technically scored a single because the run scored and he was already at first, so obviously not going to keep on going. That was super exciting. But I think the one thing not to gloss over completely is what happened with Aroldis Chapman earlier in that game. So the situation that I did want to talk about was, by the way, before I get to that, Rougned Odor's home run was the third hit in the seventh inning or later that gave the Yankees the lead. That is tied for most on the team. So, again, dropping by and reinforcing his clutch, his knack for clutch hitting that's there. Mm-hmm. So, in the top half of the ninth inning, Chapman was brought in for the save. There's 2 on, and Carlos Santana is coming up, right? Carlos Santana, not the singer, the first baseman for the Kansas City Royals, their best hitter with 2 outs, is coming up. Boone comes out to have a conversation with Chapman, who's been a little bit wild that inning, and we know he's been kind of having a rough patch, this season. So they have a conversation, and apparently Chapman wanted to face Santana. But on deck was a backup catcher who came in for Salvador Perez. Mm-hmm. Maybe, the women's perfume wasn't working too well that night or something like that. He came out of the game earlier. And dude has never gotten a hit in his entire Major League career. Okay, he's literally batting 0. So Boone is thinking, all right, screw this. Put Santana on. We got a base open. Let's pitch to go after this guy who hasn't had a Major League hit yet. Chapman goes ahead and walks him on 4 straight pitches that weren't even close. I mean, we're talking like Stormtrooper. We're talking like the A-Team. Like, not even hitting the side of a barn. Like, it was absurd. It was hard to watch. I mean, that was bananas. So that goes ahead and ties the game, and then they go ahead and took the lead after that. But as we had mentioned, Sanchez tied the game up in the ninth inning and Voit taking over to win it. So that was a pretty damn exciting game. That was the 6th walk-off of the win of the season for the Yanks. Only the Rockies have more, so they're second in the league in walk-off wins. And that was the Yankees' 20th comeback win of the season, and that is only second to the Boston Red Sox. So that rolls it on to a nice, comfortable win last Thursday afternoon, where the Yanks beat up the Royals pretty good, 8-1. Jameson Taillon won his second game of the season, pushing his record to 2-4. And let's do that and switch to keep it going with that. So in that game, he went 6 1/3, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. Aaron Judge was 3 for 3 with his 16th homer of the season, driving in 2, 3 runs and 2 walks. Luke Voit homered for his 3rd of the season. Gary Sanchez homered as well. He was 2 for 5. That was his 13th of the year, driving in 3, scoring 2 runs. Stanton was 3 for 5 with an RBI. Odor was 3 for 4 with an RBI. The Crackerjack guy was 3 for 6 with like 3 things sold. It seemed like everyone had 3 hits that game. Yes, yes, Lisa. We missed the guy who's around 420B. Who's crack.
I love that guy.
That guy's the man. He's the absolute man. If you're not familiar and you haven't been to the stadium, like definitely get up there and check that guy. There's a vendor who walks around and sells Cracker Jacks. And I've also seen him on hot days change it up. Agua! Agua! It's great.
I would love to see that. I haven't seen that one yet.
Agua! Maybe if it's hot enough when we go, next game we go, if it's hot enough, I guarantee you. Well, let's hope they bring it back first, though, because apparently vendors in the stands haven't been exactly brought back yet.
Oh no, that's not. I saw vendors during the Boston series.
Well, in New York, I was saying. At least in New York.
Yeah.
In New York, it hasn't happened. No, you're right. In Boston, there was, which I was kind of jealous. I was like, damn it, what the hell?
I know.
We need our boy, the Cracker Jack guy, back.
Yeah, but that was that was a game where it was like, all right, maybe the Yankees finally got it again, and we're back on track now. Everybody's hitting, everybody's doing what they have to do. Jameson Taillon looked really good. So it was kind of great energy, and then we get to Boston.
Yes, and then let's do it. We're not going to avoid it because that's not how we roll. We
don't have to avoid it, but we can go by real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on these things, and then we're gonna keep it moving. So the Yanks did drop a tough one, 5-3 on Friday night. Domingo Germán only went 4 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, and 3 Ks. Voit was 2 for 4 though. Urshela was 2 for 4, and then Duhar was 3 for 4. So that was a night. That was at least some highlights to see. Voit, nice to see him getting to go, and Urshela gutting it through because he's been dealing with a pretty banged up knee.
And his shin too, right? Didn't his shin get? I don't know if it was. I think it was the Royal Series where he got hit on the shin.
Yeah, he got on the shin. He had a bum knee before that. I mean, he's grinding it, man. I like Urshela a lot. He's grinding it.
And also, the game we went to, he had a bat chip go in his eye.
Yes,
which was a totally ridiculous fluke accident.
Yeah, and remember the moron behind us is screaming like, "Arr,
he's not hustling."
Yeah, you should hustle more. That's our old guy voice. Yeah, they should hustle and what the hell, overpaid weenies or whatever the hell, what the hell it was. It reminded me of like Major League 2, like Randy Quaid's character who just like has the X on the hat and wears it, all that whole crap. Like that's the exact kind of guy that's there. I talked about the Muppets on this show before. That's kind of who it sounded like all over again. But for Friday night's game, though, let's just gloss over. Let's just address it. In the 4th inning, Yanks are down 1. Why the hell are we sending Gio Urshela, who, again, we just talked about it, right? We are fans. We know this. Phil Nevin, third base coach, not a fan. He should know this. Why the hell are we sending Gio Urshela?
From second base.
From second base with no outs. And he's thrown out by like 10 feet. It was absurd.
That was one of those boggle the mind moments where I'm watching the game and I'm like, why did they send him? He could have easily just stopped at third. They had no outs. We could have gotten that. We could have at least gotten that 1 RBI in throughout the rest of the inning. Yeah. Oh my goodness! But I will say, we touched on this with the Royals games. We have not been good with runners in scoring position. However, if we were able to get the lineup back around to DJ LeMahieu came into that game with a .536 average with runners in scoring position. So I'm quite sure he would have gotten him home. So it was very frustrating to see that, especially, and you just mentioned, Urshela's banged up, right? Yep. I mean, the guy is putting everything into the game. I see him like making all these great plays. In another one of the Boston games, I don't think it was this one, he flips over a handrail. Like he's literally putting his entire body into the games. And they send him home. And just like you said, he was dead on arrival. The catcher was like sitting there eating a hot dog with the ball in the hand, just waiting for him. Yeah. It was ridiculous. And then I kind of sort of felt a tiny bit bad for Phil Nevins because they kept putting the camera on him and he was just like eyes to the side, not looking where the camera was. He knew.
Yeah, and man, I know Phil Nevin dealt with COVID and he had a bad bout with it and stuff like that. And I feel bad for him, but come on. What are we doing here?
Bad call.
What are we doing here? I mean, it brought me back to some of the days, but I don't even remember him. I remember Willie Randolph when he was a third base coach in the late 90s. And the joke was always like, this was it. He's sending everybody. It doesn't matter. Not like this. That's just bananas that we're even talking about Gio Urshela getting sent right there. You get him at third. You get first and third right there. and then you take your chances. Hey, maybe there's a wild pitch or a pass ball because that's our jam.
Or maybe somebody gets walked.
Yes, or maybe we load the
home.
bases. Who knows? There's many options. That is the one thing you don't do. You can't get guys thrown out like that, especially when your offense is struggling as bad as the Yanks are at times, because it goes from literally series to series. They're like, yeah, they're back. Nah, they're not back. They're back. Who knows? They might go out and win 4 straight against the Angels, and we're talking about this in 4 days like, all right, we're back. Let's go. We've gained 2 more games on the Red Sox. Let's do this, and then who the heck knows what happens after that. So, very frustrating. The consistent inconsistency is what is completely maddening this season. But speaking of DJ LeMahieu, though, unfortunately banged into a double play to end the game. Over the past 2 seasons, the Yanks have grounded into 4 game-ending double plays when trailing by a run or less. 1 or 2 runs, and that is the most in Major League Baseball. Do with that, who knows what the hell that even means. That to me, it's just like, hey, you need clutch hits with the game on the line, but whatever. It is what it is. And then let's get to Saturday's game, which was frustrating. We were texting, back and forth, last time we were watching this game. Wow. I feel bad for Jordan Montgomery, man. This guy seems to get the shit end of the stick quite too often, unfortunately, whether it's Boone pulling him early, not letting him get like 4 2/3, not getting that last out to get the win. That's happened a couple of times this season, and that sucks. But last night, he did go 6 innings. So Boone let him roll, took his 2nd loss of the season. He gave up 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. DJ LeMahieu was 4 for 5. LeMahieu is starting to look like he's coming around and being the machine, or Le Machine, as Gary Sanchez has dubbed him in the past, which I absolutely love. He had 2 RBIs and a run scored, and Aaron Judge was 2 for 4 with a walk. But an interesting stat that was here, though, 4 of the 8 hits against Jordan Montgomery last night had a hit probability of 25% or less. And Lyssa, what was the number that you had brought to this one about?
Yes. So I heard that to be considered a hit in Major League Baseball, the ball has to travel at 65 miles per hour or higher. And those 4 did not travel 65 or over. I think my nephew, who's quite a good baseball player, can hit the ball further in a Major League Baseball field, and he's 10.
Yes. That was to watch that, and I forgot what it was. And by the way, I just want to say something about the Fox telecast last night.
Oh my gosh.
Eric Karros is brutal. He is brutal. I'm not saying he doesn't know his shit, because he knows what he's talking about. I'm not trying to get crazy and say that. It's just like the tone of voice, and I think it was John Boy who had tweeted out last night. He was like that Eric Karros is using like an NPR voice for the broadcast and everything like that. Yeah, I kind of felt like, listen, if I needed some help going to sleep, Eric Karros can put me right to sleep pretty easily.
Yeah, it was really tough to watch that broadcast. I've mentioned to you in the past that when it's not the Yankees announcers, like I have a little bit harder time with the broadcast, just because it seems like, and I understand I'm a Yankee fan, so I want to hear about my team more, but it seems like when it's a nationally broadcast game, they mostly focus on the other team. And it feels like that's intentional. And I'm sure it's not. The Red Sox had more to talk about than the Yankees. But yeah, the one thing that stood out about the broadcast to me was the I can't remember who it was. After I think it was the Rafael Devers play that they had to replay at first base.
Yeah.
And it was pretty close. And I don't know which one of the 2 broadcasters said it, but one of them totally was like, they were like, he's safe. And the other one was like, well, fuck it, he's safe. I was like, he just said that on national television. He's getting fined.
Yeah.
So that was the one point where it was like, I was kind of dozing because they were, like you said, they were boring. And I heard that and I was like, I had to rewind it and check. And he sure did say that.
Yeah. And wow. Yeah, I agree. And you pointed that out. I was like, wait a second. Yeah. I thought, I was like, did I just hear that? I don't know. I think I was still fuming about, I don't even know if I told you, but apparently yesterday I stepped away for 10 minutes. And I stepped away for 10 minutes, right? Listening to the I was playing softball yesterday, and I had to take a shower, so I jumped in during the second inning, and of course, I had the game on the radio. So I had the sweet sounds of John Sterling and Susan Waldman, which I was like, this is going to motivate me to get the hell out of here as soon as possible. No, a lot of love to them, whatever. I joke on them all the time, but I had chicken. I boxed it up. Mandel, Marvel ate my chicken.
Oh, they were like the Bumpkis's dogs on Christmas Story?
It was pretty brutal. I left one piece of chicken, and there was crumbs on the floor, and Marvel was hiding by the back door like she has a look like a kid in trouble look.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so furious, and then this game just completely drove me over the edge. I was just like, I need to take a walk or something. I mean, it was pretty bad.
So before we move on for this game, I just want to read a couple of things that I had checked out. I don't know if you heard this or not, but Gleyber Torres, he came into the game having 6 home runs in the years 2020 and 2021 total. Yeah. So that was a brutal stat to hear. I couldn't believe that. And I also was listening to the broadcast, and they said that Jordan Montgomery's ERA when he's in Fenway is like 6 times higher than it is at Yankee Stadium. So I'm very happy that he made it to 6 innings, because they said that he usually doesn't go past 4 innings at Fenway. So happy he was able to kind of push through there. But yeah, just hearing that stat that it's like a 6.53, I think, in Fenway, and it's like a 1 something at Yankee Stadium when he plays the Red Sox. What a big disparity between the ERAs. So, and then the other thing that we didn't mention. Wait, did we talk about this?
Oh no, we're getting to it now.
Okay,
This is it. I had to get the chicken thing off my mind, because man, that really pissed me off. You don't understand. Like, that was bad. I left one of the 3 pieces left. I boxed it up.
You were so excited about that chicken too.
Yes, because we were talking earlier because I had a nightmare commute with the MTA. Yes, Grogan, the MTA really got me yesterday. It took me 2.5 hours to get home from Central Park to Queens. It was absurd. By the way, speaking of, here he goes. We got another comment from Grogan. I was reading this week, if you have a big sound system for your TV, you can shut off the middle speaker and get rid of the announcers and still have the surrounding crowd noise from right and left, so you feel like you're there. I mean, I have a sound bar, but I am willing to try that. If I hear Eric Harrows doing another game on a Saturday, because listen, I know a lot of people like they love to hate on Joe Buck. I will take Joe Buck over Eric Harrows any day of the week. That was bad. But
I would even go so far as to say I would rather listen to A-Rod.
Yes.
And you know that's me saying a lot.
Oh, Sunday night. Next Sunday night, there's going to be a whole lot of A-Rod for Yankees Mets. Absolutely. On 4th of July, it's going to be a holiday festival of A-Rod. Oh, boy. But let's talk about the play. So yes. The plays are really described last night's game, besides the way that we've done so far. It was Rafael Devers on third base, and it was a pop-up hit to Luke Voit. He takes this bizarre route to the ball, and he kind of circles around it, makes the catch, and then was completely shocked that Devers tagged up and went home, which I'll admit, you don't see a lot of that often where people are tagging up on a first baseman. So he was kind of like caught off guard, and Voit does not have the best arm, goes ahead and like fumbles with it a little bit and throws home. Devers is safe. Complete embarrassment right there. Mm-hmm. I said it earlier, though, Luke Voit, not known for his defense, he is not Don Mattingly. He's not Tino Martinez. He's not Mark Teixeira or John Overud or anyone that we've had at first base for quite some time now. I'll even go as far as throwing Lyle Overbay in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was pretty hard to watch.
Yeah, it was. But I have to say, the one thing that stood out from this series is how aggressive and smart the Red Sox were running the bases throughout the series. They were, just running hard, taking, 2 bases if they could, every time they could. So I'm not mad at him. I think that was a really heads-up play. He saw that Voit was taking a really peculiar route to get to the ball, and that he was kind of had his back turned to the field, and he took advantage. And quite honestly, all base runners should be like that. You have to be aggressive, especially when you want to win a game versus another team in your division. Like, it's just important, and your division and your rivals. So like I'm sure he felt like extra excited about that too, like getting that sneak in, because like you said, people don't normally take advantage of a first baseman in that way. So
They took it to them.
Yankees have to be they have to pay more attention, and they have to be a lot more heads up. They have to be more aware. It seems like they're just not aware of like what they need to be paying attention to as their next move on the field, right? You should be playing almost like a chess game with this, seven steps ahead for what you're going to do. And they're not. They're playing like, what was the last thing that just happened? And that's unfortunate, and it's showing a lot.
Yeah, day night in and night out. I mean, we're just seeing it. Just looks like we'll get to it. Let's get to the last game to it because they definitely showed it again today. Yanks got knocked around by the Red Sox 9-2 to complete the sweep. Garrett Cole, we figured would be coming in to like be the stopper, the ace of the staff that was there. Clearly did not have it today whatsoever. He takes the loss for his 4th loss of the season. He went 5 innings. Well, it looks like he wasn't even going to go the 5 innings. Gave up 8 hits, 5 earned. Judge hit a 2-run homer for his 17th of the year, driving in 2. And DJ LeMahieu was 2 for 4 with a run scored. So good to see Judge was keeping it going. LeMahieu, another multi-hit game. Hopefully he's back. He's back into form. But, I mean, Cole really, really took it, took it today. Sox his first start at Fenway as a New York Yankee. So that didn't go well. I mean, his slider looked like it was completely lost for the first couple innings, and they took advantage of that. A lot of firsts for Garrett Cole today, as the Devers home run that in the first inning was 100.1 miles per hour. The pitch was clocked at 100.1 miles per hour, the fastest Cole has ever thrown that he's given up a home run on. First time Cole has allowed multiple home runs in the first inning. First time he has allowed a home run and the first pitch of the game, because the first pitch was hit out by Kike Hernandez, which was another thing. They completely ambushed him right there. And the third time this season, Cole has allowed a home run on an 0-2 pitch. Last year, that happened 0 times.
Yeah.
So, some mistakes there. But then we can go ahead and look at the defense. Miggy misplayed a ball in left field. Listen, I'm not going to bang on Miguel Andujar's defense. He's adapting to a new position. But his inexperience showed on a fly ball to left field, and we know that the left field in Fenway is a hard left field to play for a regular outfielder, let alone a guy who's just adjusting to the position. He goes ahead and backpedals on a fly ball. They tag up again, like Lyssa, you were saying. The Red Sox were taking it to them and being super aggressive because they're like, listen, we're owning the Yanks. At this point, they won the first 5 games. This was the 6th of the season series, so they're taking it to them. Gleyber Torres going ahead and not lining up properly to get a cutoff throw from Clint Frazier was another one. Frazier's throwing it all around the place. God knows where the hell these throws are going into. He's missing his cutoff man by 10 feet.
Miles.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, man. You got to execute the fundamentals. When you're not doing that, I mean, it's really, really difficult, to win games on any level, let alone the major league level. So Yanks are 0-6 against the Sox this season. We'll just run down what their record is versus the AL East so far, because it's pretty hard to win your division when you're not beating your division. They're currently 6.5 back of the Red Sox, but they're 0-6 against the Sox, 5-8 against the Rays, 6-6 against the Blue Jays, and that comes off a sweep that they had not too long ago. And they're 6-4 against the Orioles, but 6-4 is nothing to brag about against the Orioles. The Orioles are terrible.
No. That should absolutely be 10-0.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, you got to pick it up. And I'm by no means saying, I don't think either one's believe that it's over, it's done, and anything like that. But like, it's got to get going. I mean, if you heard Boone in the post game today, he even starting to sound like, listen, we got to start getting this shit going. Like something's got to happen.
Yeah.
Whether it be a trade from Cashman or call off somebody who like an Esteban Florial, perhaps, something like that. Something's got to get this team kick-started because they kind of look like they're going through the motions in some games. I mean, they look great when they're winning. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's doing this. I mean, when Devers hit that home run earlier, did you see in the Red Sox dugout he was in the cart and they're wheeling him down, which I have no problem with. That's fine. You're in your dugout. They weren't doing it on the first baseline.
Right.
But they're having fun. Everyone can have fun when you're winning, but it's when you're going through the tough stuff is when, your character of your team is really shown through to be, what it really is.
Yeah, so. And that's what Michael K, David Cohen, and Paul O'Neill were talking about today was like, who's the guy on your team that's going to get your team back on track, right? Like, who's going to walk around? And Paul O'Neill was telling a story about how when George Steinbrenner was alive, when they had games against the Red Sox, he would show up in the clubhouse before
Yep.
the game and walk around and look every guy in the eyes and just stress how important it was for the Yankees to really dominate the Red Sox during that era. And it feels like on the most recent iterations of the team, like who is that guy? Who's the guy that's getting amped up for the team? Because I definitely don't see it. My assumption is that Gardner is probably one of those guys because he's the veteran of the team.
Mhm.
But I mean, this is where Aaron Judge needs to come in and get everybody hyped up to really be focused. Some other veteran players that are on the team that have been there for a little while that know the importance of these types of wins in particular, and then let alone like how they're just doing this season. You can't blame it on the shortened season last year because that was for everybody. Everybody experienced that, and so many teams are doing very well this year. So there's something that's going on that like people are being very, I don't know, like I don't know what they're doing when they go back in the dugout or after the games what they're doing, but it I don't see that much emotion when a guy strikes out for the third or fourth time in a game, for like the third game straight, or they are hitting the ball and it's not even going 65 miles an hour. Throughout this series there were not that many hard hit balls. You usually see, like a whole bunch of things bouncing off the green monster. The hardest hit ball from the Yankees was clearly Judge's home run that went over the entire
Yeah, that was a bomb.
stadium.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. But other than that, nothing was really hit super hard on the Yankees. It was a lot of flyouts, a lot of little squibblers. And you just need somebody to fire them up. Where's Brett Gardner banging on the ceiling of the dugout with a bat again? Like I want to see that. I want to see that energy on this team. I want to see, like remember back in the day with I'm blanking on his name right now, Ronald Torres. When
Yes.
like they used to pretend to be interviewing each other,
Yes.
and Judge would pick him up so that he could high five people.
Mhm.
I need to see that. I need to see the fun in the game. I don't see it. I see them struggling, and it's like, oh, we're not doing well.
Yeah.
Somebody pick that team up. Let's get some energy in there.
Or even just to get it going, you got to kickstart it. Someone's got to get fired up. I mean,
Yeah.
like when Jeter was named captain during a tough time in 2003, like that was something that was there. Maybe you can officially, because a lot of people look at Judge as the de facto captain of the Yankees, for the last couple of seasons. Maybe you give him the official title. Maybe that is something there. Luke Voigt was taking a leadership role last year. He's a fiery guy who seems to get into it. Not when you're making plays like that at first base, so it's kind of hard for you to fire guys up when you're not doing your part of it as well.
Right.
So it is a tough thing, but we got to see what happens. They did mention on the broadcast that Cashman is on the road trip, which usually when you have the GM on the road trip, that's kind of like
Not good.
That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. I remember last year he was in Toronto. I'm sorry, in Buffalo, because it was Toronto Blue Jays in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
He had sent them a message too at one point, so maybe he needs to go there. Maybe Hal needs to show up. Maybe Hal needs to go there, and I'm not expecting him to go old George style and start really getting crazy, but maybe just a presence of him, like, hey, listen,
Yeah,
it's time to get this going now. All right, I know we got a lot of games left, and enough with this. It's early, shit that's going on. Like, it's time to kick it in gear. Let's go. Like, they have talent. It's not like the Yankees don't have talent.
absolutely.
But it's time to start having that talent show through. If you need to make a trade, I personally wouldn't mind seeing a shakeup of some sort, to maybe get something going here. But we'll see, as it goes along. But they'll be facing the Angels and the Mets coming up shortly. We'll be talking about that. We'll go over the pitching matchups for the Angels series. And then there's a big Friday night matchup that we can get to, but it's way too early to talk about the rest of that series. But let's do our awards. So if this is the first time checking out Empire 161, we do an Offensive Player of the Week and a Pitcher of the Week. So, Lyssa, this is it. We tap into our Star Wars mix and flavor that we mixed into the show. So for you, who is the four strongest this week? Who was your Offensive Player of the Week?
Okay, so I was debating between a couple of people because there were some people that pulled things through. So I am going to stick with the first person that I had mentioned when we talked about this. I'm going to say Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez is finally hitting the ball better. He's seeing things. He is being a little bit more. I think he's being a little bit more patient at the plate than he was in prior series. So I'm liking what Gary's been doing, whether he's coming in off the bench on the rare occasion where he's not playing, and of course in the games that he's starting. So I'm looking forward to Gary continuing to put up some offensive numbers for the team, because he's one of the few bright lights in the team right now.
Yeah, no, the Gary Sanchez is an excellent choice. There's definitely been a few who were there. You know, there were a few candidates there. Sanchez was one that I was going to go with, but I'm going to go the other way with this, and the other person that we were throwing around there, I'm going to go with DJ LeMahieu, because it looks like Le Machine is back. Over his last 7 games, DJ is hitting 400. He's 12 for his last 30, in 2 runs, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, drawing 3 walks, only 3 strikeouts out of 30 at-bats. I mean, these days you'll definitely take it. You know, he's getting the average up. It's up to 274 now. Not quite DJ LeMahieu that we're used to, but he's raised it about 14 points over the past couple of games. So I'm not expecting him to go ahead and hit 4-hit nights all the time. But multi-hit nights are starting to get in there. He's starting to drive the ball for hard singles the other way. He's pulling some here. He's getting the power back there. So it's good to see DJ coming around. And, you know, we damn well sure could use him, because we don't, like you said, we don't have a lot. I mean, Sanchez has been going. Voigt's been pretty good since coming back. DJ's back. Judge has been their most consistent player probably all season. But Gary looks like Gary, though. Like, to follow up on your point, he's starting to look like the 2016, 2017 Gary Sanchez again. I know Marcus Timms have worked on, shortening up that late kick and working on some different mechanics for him. He says it feels uncomfortable, but it looks like it's working out for him. So, you know, Gary, stick with it, man. Like, it's really good to see you back. And for those who stuck with him through some pretty tough times, rewards to everyone who stuck with Gary Sanchez, because it was getting pretty brutal there for a while.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go with the I Have Spoken. That's our pitcher of the week. I Have Spoken, referencing The Mandalorian. So another one of our Star Wars things, as we named our awards after. Lyssa, who was your I Have Spoken pitcher of the week?
The only one that got the W. Jameson Tyone. I had to go with him. He had 6 strikeouts. He looked the strongest. So he was really the only one that I had the option to choose from in terms of the starting pitchers. I suppose I could have gone one of the relievers, but his stats just stuck out the most for me.
Yeah, and excuse me, we're definitely going to agree on that one, because it's Jameson Tyone. I mean, that was his best start of the season. Like, for lengthwise, because he's had a tough time getting through 4 innings, 5 innings at times, and finally it looks like that wasn't a problem for him this go around. He looked great, and it was actually nice to see. That was with Jerry's cousin Daniel. We were at that game for the afternoon game, and it was nice to see him get an ovation coming off the field, and it was pretty cool, man. So kudos to Jameson Tyone, another player like Trey Mancini, who's coming off a lot. The dude's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He also dealt with cancer as well. So, kind of pulling for Jameson Tyone to turn things around and get his career going again with the Yanks. All right, so trying to go ahead and get this pulled up. Let's quick preview of the upcoming Yankees-Angels series as the Angels come in for a 4-game set in the Bronx. Pitching matchups were Dylan Bundy, who is 1-7 with a 6.68 ERA on the season. Sounds like a pitcher a certain team should definitely take advantage of, but as these days, we'll see how that goes. And he'll be facing Michael King, who is 0-3 with a 4.05 ERA. But Michael King is a guy, I think, mixed results, but I'm glad to see the kid is getting a shot, because he did pitch really well in long relief in the bullpen earlier in the season. So we got that on tomorrow night. Tuesday night, we got Heaney versus Jameson Tyone on Tuesday night. So we had just gone over that. Wednesday, it is showtime in the Bronx, as the Yanks will be facing Shohei Ohtani. So I'm sure the Angels will be waiving the DH, because Shohei Ohtani is that guy. So they will be playing on the NL rules for that game. So that'll be interesting to see, because Joe Maddon will have to literally make double switches and bring in pinch hitters for relief pitchers. So that's just a wild thing that I think Ohtani's had an effect on the game that is just crazy to me. But that won't be the first time you'll see Ohtani. I'm sure Ohtani will be either in the outfield or DH the other 3 out of the 4 games. Another thing that's just wild to me to see the things that this guy is doing and really changing the game. Especially in a time when there's talk about the universal DH starting next season, where but I'm sure Madden will still say, hey, screw it, we'll go over the old rules. We'll just let everyone our guy to hit, man. We want him in there every single night.
Yeah, he's incredible. I'm really looking forward to seeing him playing against the Yankees.
Yeah, he's such a talent. I mean, I hope the dude goes for like, what is it? Say 3, 4, 0 for 12 over the next 4 days. And I hope he strikes out every single time. But we can always hope for things. And then the Thursday matinee will be Jordan Montgomery versus Canning, who is 5-4 with a 4.95 ERA. And then the Subway Series, the first Subway Series of 2021 gets kicked off in the Bronx next weekend as the Yankees will be facing the Mets. But lined up for Friday is going to be Garrett Cole versus Jacob deGrom.
Yes.
That is going to be pretty awesome. That would be pretty awesome to see. And Farachi, if you're watching or still watching, catching on, we can talk about a crossover show again like we did last year if you want. You let me know what's up unless you're waiting for the City Field Series in September. We'll see. We'll do them both. Whatever you want to do, man. We're calling you guys out. Put it in the books. You let us know if you want to do this crossover show because it was a lot of fun last time we did it. All right, so then let's get to a little interview type segment here. As Lyssa is a new host on Empire 161, we just figured we might as well chat and get everyone familiar with Lyssa and some of her her takes and views on various things in baseball. I got this one thing I got to start off with. I got to ask you about, right? And it's the mascots. You know how I feel about mascots.
I know.
Listen, hit us with it. Lyssa's a huge mascot fan, even though the Yankees don't have a mascot. They did at one point, very briefly in the 70s, and we try to forget that ever happened. But that was pretty brutal. So yeah, talk about what's up with where did it start? Where does the love of mascots begin?
I don't even remember. All I know is that every time I see either a mascot or a puppet, it just brings me sheer delight. I turn into like a 4-year-old at Disney World or something like that. I guess it started with like the Muppets and Sesame Street and seeing all of the puppets and characters there. I guess I really don't know when it started. But it definitely grew exponentially when I went to college, and I went to University of Delaware. My college mascot is UD, the blue hen. Go UD. And I knew somebody who was UD walking around campus. So whenever that person was in costume and saw me, knowing how I felt about mascots, they always came over to me. And then my other favorite mascot story is while I was in college, our basketball team was playing a home game and it was mascot night, and the Philly Fanatic came to visit.
Wow.
And he was wearing a leisure suit and he was dancing to 70s music like it was Saturday Night Fever. Okay. And I was cracking up the entire game watching him. So yeah, your wife Angie knows how much I love them, because when we went to Cooperstown, she and I were walking through the museum and they have a Phillies Fanatic costume in the museum. And I was like, oh, I need to take a picture with it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, the one sad thing about the Yankees is they don't have a mascot, and that makes me very sad.
Do you wish the Yankees had a mascot again?
I mean,
or does it seem awkward for them?
It would probably be awkward for them. I definitely respect a lot of the like traditional things that they've kept about the Yankees over the course of the years of their history. No names on the back of the shirt, the same 2 uniforms. Like I kind of like those things a little bit. I'm not as serious as Brett Gardner, so like when it comes to the nicknames on the back, like I do like that people put nicknames. But yeah, I think the Yankees, their tradition and legacy doesn't allow for a mascot, sadly. So it's the one thing that I'll give to, one of the things I'll give to the Mets. I'm not a Mets hater, but I do love Mr. Met and his family. I really love seeing them at games. The Philly Fanatic is definitely my favorite of the baseball mascots. So, yeah.
Wow. So there you go. So Farachi was probably, wait, let's see. I see a comment pop in right away. I would not be shocked. Let's get, oh no. Here we go. It's Grogan. The Yankees don't have a mascot, so at least looks forward to vendors
That's
instead.
right. Cracker Jack is kind of like my mascot.
I can take that. I can say Cracker Jack as the Yankees mascot. I'm good with that one. Yeah. So what was it? Well, yeah. Farachi was probably excited that you said you liked Mr. Met, and then you came back with Phillies fanatic. So I'm sure he's probably like
he was like, I liked her, now I don't.
Yeah, we thought we were going somewhere. Those guys are so nice and so happy, and then all of a sudden now we're there. All right, so I was going to ask you who's your favorite mascot of the group, but you mentioned was the Phillies fanatic, who I did get to see like years ago, Johnny Damon, and he had a whole run-in with the Philly fanatic when I went to one of the games seeing the Yankees play in Philly. That was cool. I will admit one thing. When I was in Houston a couple of years ago, I think it may have been 2017 or 2018 that we had done Houston. They have their mascot's name is Orbit. Green guy like with the little like alien things right there. And there was a family sitting next to us, and it was a little girl there. She had a little Orbit, like stuffed Orbit, and we were sitting on the field level, and she was just like locked in on him, like she was like obsessed with him, and in a fun way. She was like so like ear to ear like smile throughout the game, and the Yanks were like beating the crap out of him, and they were actually having a, so I was just like, you know something, I get it. I understand. That's fine. Yeah. The mascots have their place. I don't have to personally, but look at it too, though. I cheer for the Yankees, the Giants, and the New York Rangers. Right, 3 of my 4 teams do not have mascots, so I'm kind of just grew up like mascots being a foreign thing. Yeah, like it's just not associated with. But I do like Benny the Bull. I'm a Bulls fan. Yes. Benny the Bull is wild. He's bananas, by the way. He's actually really funny too. But the Orbit thing, it hit me in a way, and I'm like, I get it. All right, I understand it. I'll lay off the mascots. I'll chill out a little bit. I won't make fun of them as much as I was. I'll roll my eyes when I see them anymore. So I understand. All right, so hit us with your top 5 all-time favorite Yankees, and then honorable mentions. And I know there's one Yankee we're going to definitely have to have you talk about.
I know. Well, I'm going to start with my honorable mentions first. I'm going to go from them, and then I'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mm-hmm. So as I was thinking about this list, I was thinking about I've been watching the Yankees my whole life, ever since I was probably watching the Yankees in my mom's womb, because both of my parents are Yankee fans, separate from each other. Before they met each other, they were both fans. And growing up, it was like every game, kind of like you are, like we're not missing a game, right? Yeah. My dad took us to a lot of games when we were kids. We've had so many great experiences watching them. I remember as a young kid, I used to fall asleep on our living room couch listening to the announcers on the game while my aunts and uncles were over visiting, and like the adults were hanging out in another room. I would fall asleep listening to the game. So, but I will say this, I probably didn't start to really appreciate and pay attention to what was going on in games until like the mid 90s. So you'll see what I mean when I say my list, because most of my people are people from the 90s. Okay. But I will say somebody that's old school that's on my honorable mention is Ricky Henderson. So I
was going to spin that into the question. The question was coming. 24.
Yes, there's more than 124 on my list. Okay. He is. So Ed's saying 24 because I wear 24. I'm actually wearing it right now on this jersey I'm wearing. 24 is my birthday. So September 24th, in case anybody wants to get me a gift, Libra in the house. I love my birthday. But that's the main reason why I wear 24. However, there are several 24s throughout baseball history that were or are very great players. Ricky Henderson being one of them. He's on my honorable mention list because he was a Yankee for several years. And he had, like the amount of bases he stole in his lifetime were remarkable. I mean, the man was just all over the place on the field. You couldn't keep him tied down to a base. This is what the Yankees need now. They need a Ricky Henderson right now. I really wish we had that kind of energy on the team. And he was just, I don't know, the level of excitement that he brought to the game from stealing bases was just, I think, very impressive and phenomenal. So he's on my honorable mention list. And then I have another person who people might be like, huh, what? But I love him. Luis Sojo.
Yes.
Louis came in clutch so many games. he looked like he was always having fun. I was talking about that a little while ago. I love that about him. I was fortunate enough to meet him, and I don't know if this is on your getting to know me thing, but I have met him during something. I'll leave that in case you bring it up. Really cool man. But like his energy on the team was just dope, and he just came in clutch so many times. It was guaranteed if Louis coming up to pinch hit, he's gonna get on base or he's gonna do something to help the team out, gonna get a sac fly, whatever it is. Louis got you. So I love when he was on the team and the energy he brought. Okay, my number 5. Again, this is because I didn't start paying attention until later on, but I definitely, as an adult, appreciate him, and I know you do too. A lot of people do. He's my brother's favorite. Don Mattingly is my number 5 on the list, and people are going to argue with anybody's top 5, so that's fine. But I grew up and started paying attention a little bit after Don Mattingly, but I certainly appreciate what he brought to the team in the toughest spread of years that the Yankees had. I mean, the guy totally deserved the World Series and missed it by this much. Yep, so I feel for him. And, he, just like you said, he was one of our really great first basemen, right?
Yeah.
And a captain that everybody loved. It was so hard when other people came in to replace him and what they had to go through because everybody loved Don Mattingly. Mm-hmm. So he's my number 5. My number 4 is my other 24, Tino Martinez, one of my favorite players. I also met him, also a really nice person. I just thought that he had the most beautiful swing. I loved his swing. I don't remember another Yankee hitting as many grand slams as he did that I can recall. Always had clutch hits, great defensive first baseman, really nice guy, as I said when I met him. I just thought he had like this quiet authority on the team that I really appreciated. My number 3 is Studio 23, number 23, Paulio.
Wow.
That's my guy. He had his fiery attitude and energy. I love that about him. I thought he was great. I thought that I love him as an announcer too. I have a better appreciation for him as an announcer. So I don't know. I liked seeing him knock down Gatorade pitchers.
Oh, of course.
When he messed up. I just really, I don't know. His energy on the team was like really intense. So I really appreciated that about him. I liked it when he was there. And he looks like he can still play, which I think is pretty dope.
Even though he's eating all the time, somehow he still is in game shape.
I mean, yes.
The dude takes down crazy
it's crazy. It's crazy how much he eats and talks about it. Mm-hmm. Number 2, this might be a little controversial for some people, but number 2 was the captain that we know, number 2, Derek Jeter. He is not my number 1. So, which might surprise people because most people know me to be a major Derek Jeter fan. And I am. He was what I imagined to my age group what Don Mattingly was for the generation before me. So Derek Jeter is probably one of the most remarkable Yankees I've ever seen play. Definitely a major leader on the team. When I think of him, I think of so many memories that I have of Yankee games that I've been to. World Series games, championship games, him diving into stands, him giving his all, him being classy on and off the field when it comes to, like talking about other teams, being insightful, making sure that the team stayed on track with their goals. He had a phenomenal run with them. So Derek Jeter's my number 2. And my number 1 it was, I think, one of his best man, I think, when he got married, Jorge Posada. My number 20. So Jorge, not just because he's Puerto Rican, not just because I also met him and got to interact with him numerous times. I just think that he was, I mean, if Derek Jeter wasn't the captain, I feel like he should have been the captain. I think he was the unofficial captain of the Yankees during that era. I think there were a couple of people that were, but yeah. I thought the way Jorge ran the games from behind the plate, him getting fired up and passionate, him, legging out some of his hits, turning something into a triple every once in a while, once in a blue moon. I just thought Jorge had tons of heart on the team. And I think that's the common theme for all the guys I have on my top 5 is that they all had what I consider the most heart, and the most. I could feel their passion for the game and their knowledge and love of the game. I really felt that from them. And I'm going to own the one that I know you're going to ask me about that is not on my list, will never be on my list. Also Puerto Rican, so I'm going to own that too. He's my people, but he's not my person. Bernie Williams will never be on my list. It's not that I don't think he was a good ball player. He was a great ball player. However, he always seemed like he was writing songs in his head out in the outfield, not paying attention to the game. And then when the ball was hit towards him, it took Paul O'Neill or somebody else to be like, Bernie, that's yours, for him to start running after the ball. He just seemed so mechanical, and it didn't seem natural to him the way he moved. I hate when he got a strike and he did that little knee bend and pop up thing. That is my handshake with you. It's me making fun of him every time. I don't know. He just looked like he wanted to be somewhere else than be playing on the field. And come at me with disagreements. Whoever's watching, come at me. That's fine. You're never going to convince me that I should put Bernie Williams on my list. He's
Joe
probably
Torre talked about Bernie World plenty of times.
I mean,
it's not like he did it.
So that's my list.
No, listen, your list is your list. Listen, if Randy Velarde was on your list, it's your list. You can be whoever the heck you want it to be. It doesn't matter. It can be Andy Stankiewicz. I mean, whatever you want to be on that list, that's fine.
Oh, yes, and also I want to say I said Studio 23 for Paul O'Neill. Studio 21. Excuse me.
All right, so why don't you tell us about the women's fantasy camp?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So that was when I kept referencing that I've met some of the players. So the Yankees have this really awesome opportunity that anybody could partake in. They have one for men. They have one for I think it's men and their sons. And then they have a camp for women. The women's camp takes place in January. It's usually on Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. And you go down to Tampa and you play baseball, and your coaches are all former Yankees. So I had the honor of having Homer Bush as my coach for 3 out of the 5 years that I was there. El Duque was my coach 1 year. And oh my gosh, the Yankees hitting coach. Oh, Marcus Timms. I just blanked on him. Marcus Timms was my coach the 4th year. So my first 2 years, it was Homer Bush, then El Duque, then Marcus Timms, and then Homer Bush came back for my 5th year. My 5th year was the year I was inducted into the Yankees Women's Hall of Fame. So I'm a Hall of Famer. Thank you very much. I got this 100% official Yankees jersey that I'm wearing from them. You get tons of swag at that camp. My gosh. So I have about 3 home jerseys, a few spring training jerseys, full uniforms. I will say this, ladies, the uniform is not flattering for women. We have curves that men don't have, so it doesn't look good on you unless you're Laura Posada, who's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, I got to meet a whole bunch of former Yankees. So my first year, our team played, and I went by myself my first year, not knowing anybody. Nobody came with me. I was like, let me just try this out. So we're playing a game, and we're playing against Jorge Posada's team. And Jorge Posada's wife's team, he was just watching. The next year, he became a coach. So he was watching the game, and I hit the ball, and I beat out a grounder. I made it to first base. And Jorge told me, this is like one of my first games. He was like, whoa, you're really fast. And I was like, whoa, Jorge Posada just told me I'm fast. Bucky Dent every year would tease me and say, you're too young to be in this. I want to see your driver's license. You look like a ringer. I think Homer Bush has a ringer on his team. That's not fair. I met so many guys. Chris Chambliss, Tino. I met Tino. He was the guest 1 year to sign autographs for everybody. So I got to tell him how much I love his swing and that he's one of the reasons why I wear the number 24. He was so gracious. He was like, "Oh my God, thank you. That means so much to me." Really sweet guy. There was a former Yankee on in the 90s who is one of the most standout Yankees that came my last year and barely had time for us and was just interested in saying hi to the other Yankees that were there, even though he came specifically to sign autographs for us. I won't say his name, but he's very famous. And he's a goat. You can figure it out.
Wow.
So he had no
Okay.
time for the ladies, though. I was very upset and disappointed in meeting him. I have pictures of I have a binder full of pictures of all the former Yankees I met. The best part of the camp was the second, fourth, and fifth year, if I'm not mistaken. My parents came with me, and my dad
Nice.
meeting some of the Yankees, telling Bucky Dent, "Oh, I remember you," and that hit, and being able to interact with the players, speaking Spanish with El Duque um, came into the lunch that we were everybody had lunch together, and I told him, I was like, it would mean a lot if you could say hi to my dad. He speaks Spanish and English, whatever. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll come over to your table." And I was like, "He's not gonna come over, he's gonna be signing autographs." He came to my table and spoke to my dad for like a good 5 to 8 minutes. And then the next time my dad came, he saw him and he was like, "Oh," in Spanish, "Oh, it's so nice to see you again." So it was just really cool. They were all Homer Bush is one of the when they say he's a nice man, that's an understatement. He is one of the sweetest people in the world, and his wife and I are good friends now. I've made a lot of friends from that camp. Shout out to Monica Bush. She's a good friend of mine now. And there was just a whole bunch of women on my team. I was on the Bombers, which was so awesome.
Nice.
And we all still keep in touch with each other. Such fun times, such a great experience. I love that I did it. Like I said, I did it for 5 years straight, and it was great. You don't appreciate how far a major league field is and how far it is just to leg out a single until you have to play on an official major league field. And we did. And one of the other cool things about the camp was that the last game of the camp was versus the players. So
Nice.
El Duque pitched to us. I mean, he didn't, he could still whip it for
Does he have
sure.
the wind up and everything, the leg
He
kick?
still has the leg kick. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, he looks great. A lot of them look like they could still absolutely play, in a heartbeat. But it was cool. We played on Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. And that was just a really great experience too. Also, shout out to our mutual friend Courtney for coming to see me pretty much every year that I was there, since she lives right in the area.
Tell Rick to get his butt over there, and over there too as well. Are you planning to go back when they reopen it again?
I mean, I thought about it. I didn't go back for. I stopped in 2018. They obviously didn't have it last year, or this year. It's not a hard no, but my body's also like, girl. So I don't know, because I was one of the youngest on my team, so I ran for a lot of people.
Oh wow, you were the courtesy runner.
I was a courtesy runner for a lot of people, and for sure, because the bases are so far apart, and there was 2 years in a row we played 6 games in one day. So not full 9-inning games, but still 6 games, and I'm running for everybody. It was tough on the body. And I'm only getting older, so I might consider it maybe, in down the road when I turn 50. Maybe that'll be like my 50th birthday gift to myself. But wouldn't mind going back just because of the how much fun it is. And it's totally worth it too. Worth the memories, worth the trip. Absolutely.
So I know the men's one was like with their son, so I'll probably have to wait a little bit before I can do that.
No, they have a regular men's. They actually have 2 men's camps, one in November, one in January. They're a week long, and then they have a father-son camp too.
That sounds pretty awesome, though.
I'm actually surprised you and Jerry never went.
I have no explanation for that. I think I got nothing on that one. I mean, probably something I would look into and things like that. It makes me think of the Seinfeld episode when Kramer went to Yankees fantasy camp and he got into it with Mickey Mantle or something like it. that's always the first thing that like, pops in my head. And now, like, I know that you go to fantasy camps too, so like those are the two things, my connections to like any kind of fantasy baseball camps and stuff like that. But no, definitely something I would like to check out one day because that really sounds pretty awesome.
It really is
overall.
Yeah.
All right, and I think we have covered a lot of things, but I know there's been a lot of talk about Stanton and his uniform and stuff like that. So is there something you wanted to mention about that before we wrap this thing up?
I just feel like that's self-explanatory, and anybody who sees him in it certainly knows what I'm talking about, and can just see that if you ever want to design a uniform with like the perfect specimen in mind, that's who it is.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it just looks amazing on him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, all right, cool. So, listen, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode of Empire 161 show. Thank you for joining us, Lyssa. Thanks so much for coming on and co-hosting. Lyssa will be back with me next week. So our next episode is scheduled for Monday, July 5th. We'll be back. We're trying to do a lot of like Sunday night, late afternoon episodes. We'll probably work around A to Z, who was on before us. But we figured 4th of July, plus the Yanks are playing the Mets on Sunday Night Baseball, which you had mentioned. So we definitely want to be home to listen to A-Rod and Matt Vasgersian call the game. And so we know you guys don't want to hear us yapping about the Yanks. So you'll listen to them yap about the Yanks. The next night, come back. We'll be talking about the Angel series. We'll be talking about the Subway series. Again, maybe we'll even have, if it's not a full crossover episode, maybe Farachi will pop on with us. There's the invite again. If Farachi wants to come on the Empire 161 show and talk about the series with us, we can do that. If the Yanks take care of business, maybe not. Maybe he won't pop on with us. We'll see how that goes. And let's hope the Yanks get things turned around. We have another good week to talk about next week, though. So, Lyssa, anything before we officially sign off?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to do this with you. When we were talking about it at that Yankee game, I was like, Ed, I watch every game. I'm happy to come on and talk. And, I just want to throw out there to everybody that like I'm here to talk about like the more fun things. So when I hear that Salvador Perez wears perfume and that's his superstition, that's the thing that catches my eye more so than I'm of course I'm impressed by some stats, but I'm not a stats person. That was my least favorite class in social work school. So it's not something that's going to be coming out of me very much, but I'm definitely here to give, to add the fun to the commentary. I appreciate everybody for, welcoming me. Grogan, thank you so much for being active in the chat. And I look forward to continuing the conversation. So just thank you for having me on, for being the female perspective on this show.
It's awesome. And great to have you here as well. All right, so check out if you liked what you heard today, you can go on Facebook and like our Facebook group, join the group, join the daily chat. We share lineups every day and highlights and stuff like that where we can find it. I know you kind of wacky random baseball stories that we could have. But it's focused on the Yankees, but we chat about baseball and we mix and pepper in a little Star Wars stuff here and there. So join Empire 161 show group on Facebook, like our page, like the Pop Culture Pros group, join that. They talk about everything and everything. A to Z show is on Sundays, right before us. Eric and David cover anything, literally A to Z. That's where the name comes from. If you're into wrestling, you can check out Eric and Tim on the Just Too Sweet show. They cover wrestling on Tuesday nights. The 4 Quarter show with Dave, I'm not really sure when that's coming back. They fluctuate a lot. Jada and Kyle, they're our overall movie show. They do a fantastic job covering movies, so you can check them out. They fluctuate nights as well. Granny's Peach Tea, if you're into comic books and comic book movies and TV shows, we cover whatever latest MCU show is, or in CW verse and whatever movies. We're going to talk about Blade 2 next time. So and the next episode is on July 5th. So there will be back-to-back Empire 161 and Granny's Peach Tea. I will definitely need a few cups of water to get through that one because that'll be a lot of yapping that night, but it'll be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. And Stream Wars Pros is another show that we have on Pop Culture Pros. So they talk about the different streaming services and stuff like that. They might be on Thursday, if I'm correct. If you're a Mets fan, because we do have some Mets fans that do support the Empire 161 show, thank you very much. We appreciate that. That's awesome. But if you also want some more Mets-focused stuff, you can check out the Put It in the Book show. They're on usually on Wednesday nights, but they also got to work around the Mets schedule, so you can check them out. All right. Everyone stay safe out there, and keep on getting vaccinated and doing the things, and we're almost out of this damn thing, so let's keep that going, and we'll see you guys soon, all right? Let's go Yankees.
All right, everybody.
All
Thank
right.
you.